So we've been talking about how to have balance in your life, and we've come up with 8 ways that you can do that. Welcome to Hope Rescue Podcast. We're Tim and Kimberly, and we're excited to finish off the 8th one.
The 8 spokes of the wheel of balance.
So the concept was this: if you want a balanced wheel, you're going to have these spokes in that wheel. The mind, a balanced mind, a balanced soul or emotions, a balanced spirit, God consciousness. You have to have a balanced body, physicality. You have to have a balanced social life. Mm-hmm. You have to have a balanced financial life. You need to have balanced purpose. We talked about last week. Mm-hmm. And this is the 8th one, a balanced home.
Right.
Which is so important. Think about how your home, probably one of the most stressful, difficult things in life is to go through divorce. And it's because people don't have, balance, whether it's work-home balance.
Any one of those 8 spokes can throw you off
exactly.
of balance. And that's something to be mindful of, is that, if you have the majority of these, a healthy balance. When I say healthy balance, that doesn't mean a perfect balance. We talked about that last week, because you'll never find perfect balance in any one of those 8 spokes. But the more you can have a healthy balance, the stronger the wheel becomes. So that's the goal: is to find to lean into finding more balance in each, because our life tends to swing like a pendulum. It seems like nothing stays completely steady all the time.
Yeah.
So we're always compensating in one area and feeling like we're out of balance in another. And our goal is not to make you feel like you're totally crappy at balance. It's actually to help you understand
it's just to encourage.
Focus and do what you can to help bring a better balance in some of those areas, to be able to keep your wheel from coming off.
Well, imbalance in your home is going to impact not only your present, but your future. So if you have imbalance, you don't spend the kind of time with your children that they need and you need,
right,
and that intimacy is not there, your future is going to be greatly affected by that.
Right.
Whether they kind of draw away from you. I mean, the percentages of children that have been emancipated from their parents is almost a biblical proportion. When I say biblical proportion, Paul, in writing to Timothy,
in the Bible days.
It's Timothy. In writing to Timothy, he said in chapter 3 of 2 Timothy, I finally got the passage. There it is. He said, in the latter days, children will be disobedient to parents. And there's a reason for that. It's not all the kids' fault. It is the lack of correction. Now, that could be in any generation.
Yeah.
But when it becomes endemic to the whole of society, and you have society that is in rebellion, lack of respect for authority, lack of respect for parents or a law enforcement, whatever it is. And I think we're seeing it. That's why I say biblical proportion.
It's scientifically proven now that the breakdown of our society is starting in the home, and it's been building. It's getting worse. So we both have been through divorce. We know the devastation it brings to children, to the adults, parents individually, the brokenness, and trying to heal from that with all the right things in place to come back from that kind of heartbreak. It's still a hard road.
And it's important. There's a lot of step parents out there that are doing an incredible job, and it's quite a calling. As a stepfather, I never think of myself that way. I think of our children as our children. I don't think of them as your children, and I'm kind of there. I think it's an important work to really love well and be that resident parent. Anyway, all of that to say, having balance as it relates to your children, having balance in your marriage. So there's a lot at stake. Marriages don't last that rely on the first love moments. So the first love moments are that excitement of early romance, of new love. And, the shocking thing is when that goes away, if you're not cultivating new love and you're not falling in love on a regular basis with your spouse, you're not doing your job as a spouse. You need to fall in love on a regular basis. And I'd like to take this opportunity. No. So,
Well, here's another thing to balance, since we're talking about balance. That concept, though, is that so much of that deeper love comes from going through the painful seasons of life committed to each other in marriage. And so that's not that you're in a very dark or heavy place doesn't necessarily mean it's a death sentence to your marriage. It actually could be the thing to forge, a closer dynamic and relationship and deeper love for each other. But that's why we're talking about a lot of these things is not to make you feel guilty or I'm not doing enough or whatever, but just to help point you in the right direction, to give you some more tools to be able to have that healthy home.
Yeah, we could give you scores of examples of people that we've helped or that we've known that had absolute failure of their marriage, maybe infidelity or financial failure or absolute hostility between a husband and a wife, and watched how that became a catalyst for a transformation, because it scares you to death. You go, I used to love this woman, or I used to love this man, and now I'm at odds with this person, or I don't trust him, or I don't like him. And then to fall back in love with that, it strengthens the marriage. So all of that to say, as Kimberly's saying, this is not to make anybody feel guilty, but to really help you see the importance of balance.
And throw you some tools in the process.
So we came up with three things that we find are important for home balance. And that is, you got to do the stuff. What's that? We'll explain. Eliminate the distractions. And number three, focus on the essentials. When we talk about do the stuff are the mundane details
Running a home.
of life.
Yeah.
You got to do the laundry. Somebody's got to cook. And we're thankful that it's Kimberly and not me. And Gracie,
you're my cleaner upper though. So
by the way, Gracie made some sweet.
I heard.
You heard. You
I heard
tasted.
she was.
No, she made some good cookies.
Cookies, I know, absolutely delicious.
Really good.
Yes.
I think that it's packed with goodies.
Good balance in this home is a delicious plate of cookies from our daughter, sharing the responsibilities of cooking.
So you got to do the stuff. So you got to cook. You've got to clean. You've got to, all those things. You've got to do the work. You've got to, go to work. You've got to make the money. So home balance involves doing this stuff, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then to eliminate the distraction, I think the best thing we can do in our relationships is eliminate the distraction in this way. Give you an illustration. I used to ride this draft horse, and a draft horse.
How long ago was this, Tim?
This was 50 years ago.
Okay, I was to say, since I've known you, there's been no draft horses.
No. If I was on a draft horse now,
there's been skis.
I'd be doing the splits. But there've been skis. But no, these draft horses were at a camp where this was 1970. Actually, it's 50 years, 1972.
Okay.
1972, 50 years ago. I was a guide, believe it or not. I was like the cowboy.
Wow,
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes.
Howdy.
I'm guessing since it was 1972, you were listening to Keith Green a lot.
No.
No?
Didn't listen to Keith
Who
Green.
was it in 72? The Christian.
CCR.
CCR, okay.
Creedence Clearwater Revival. Anyway, I didn't really listen to Christian music because I was a cowboy. Anyway, the point being that I would ride this horse, and we had to put blinders on it because it was a workhorse.
Yeah.
A draft horse is a big horse, workhorse, very strong. And we would ride that. It was really good at leading other horses. Anyway, when you put the blinders on, it causes them to look, they can see peripheral only so far. But any snake, which, by the way, where I was doing this, there were a lot of snakes. Any snake, they would spook, and it would be a problem.
Yeah.
So you've got to take the distractions away and put blinders on, so you're looking straight ahead at what you're focused on. The third one is focus on the essentials. What are the essential things? We so often spend time on things that aren't that important, and that's where a lot of mistakes come into play.
We waste a lot of time.
And no matter what area of our life. Yeah, but especially in our home.
And when I say waste a lot of time, immediately I know I would think if somebody said that to me, oh, well, then there goes my joy of painting or decorating or reading through magazine or, those things that we think, oh, that's probably what she's talking about. That's not what we're talking about, because those are essential in doing the stuff too, is caring for your soul and having like we talked about last week, a healthy balance of some of those things in your life. We're talking about distractions that take you away from home and being present in home when you're there. So,
and good things can be, sometimes you have to say no to the good to get to the best.
Yes.
To say yes to the best, which we'll probably talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But let's talk about do the stuff. You think about logistics. Logistics are
things that
the
keep your home running.
administration of all the details of life. If you're a logistics officer in the military, you're thinking about how to administer a war. What is needed? What ammo do you need? What military weapons do you need? What trucks and cars and jeeps
Equipment,
and whatever.
tools,
Equipment,
right.
all the things that are necessary. A really important role. But it can be very mundane. Who wants to sit down and pay the bills?
Yeah.
Thank the Lord for online banking. Oh my gosh. I write 3 checks a year probably.
Yeah.
Everything else, our giving, everything is, online. It's great.
Yeah. So got to pay the bills.
Yeah,
That's
somebody
doing
will
the
say,
stuff.
you got to pay me in a check. I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you through my bank. No, I need you to give me, okay, whatever. I don't even know how to write a check anymore, but we got to do it. Some of the things that are important to get real balance and which sometimes are avoided is rest.
That's true. Especially if you lean into being productivity, getting more done. And so you neglect your rest. And that's a definite destination for failure.
Yeah. I used to work long hours.
Still do sometimes.
Not really. Not really. I don't want, long hours.
Not nearly what you used to. Yeah.
I mean, I work every day, but I don't work 16 hours ever.
Yeah.
I don't think I could work that long. Anyway, but that kind of working those long hours, and you think you're producing, and maybe you are for your boss or for your business, but you're not producing for your home. You cannot work that many hours and have strong connection to your family. That's not balance.
Yeah.
So we need to eat well.
Yeah, that's another thing. This is practical stuff.
This is do the stuff.
Eat a balanced diet.
Which
means
someday I'm going to start.
I had a salad from Chick-fil-A for lunch. For dessert, I'm staring at the cookies Gracie made. I'm going to balance it out by having one of those for dessert.
I'm not. But I had a sandwich the other day. I made a half sandwich and chicken sandwich, and it was on some wheat bread, and then I had some wheat thins, just like 5, maybe 7. And then I had a couple of cookies. And Kimberly looks at it and she goes, "Hey, you have a very brown,
beige
no color,
lunch."
Beige. That's what it was. You have a beige lunch.
Yes.
Well, you got to eat a balanced diet.
That's not balanced.
So that's not balanced.
Nope.
That's what I'm saying.
Where's your reds and
do
greens,
as I say,
Tim?
not as I do.
And I think, we don't need to get caught in the weeds on that. You guys know what we're talking about, because there's enough
details.
Issues around eating disorders and a hyperfixation on, having the perfect diet, having the perfect body. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about care for your body like because it is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Give the nutrition it needs and the exercise.
Yeah. In the doing of the stuff, make sure that everybody is contributing.
Yeah.
So your children need to contribute. That is age appropriate. If your children are very young, before 5 years old, the contribution is going to be minimal. From 5 on, they should be contributing in ways that are age appropriate. And when they're teenagers, doing the dishes is not the end of the world. Tell the teenager.
It feels like it.
Yeah, it feels like it. But it really develops that. So that's part of doing the stuff.
Yeah.
Talking to your kids about morals, about drugs, about values, about sex, about,
current topics.
Everything.
Have the uncomfortable conversations at home first.
Yeah,
That would be my suggestion.
yeah, and try to do it in ways that are acceptable to them, because oftentimes you try to force a conversation is not going to go well.
Start with listening,
Yeah,
and
that's very good.
then you have an opportunity to be able to speak to the topic.
So that's the do the stuff.
Yeah.
The second part is eliminate the distractions. Put the
Okay,
blinders.
Tim, go ahead and talk on that one.
Yeah, I'm distracted. I can't right now. Either you will determine your schedule or someone else will. Remember that. Either you will determine your schedule or someone else will. And I'm talking to me. Kimberly has been on me about this forever, is that I let people determine my schedule. Not so much now, but when I was pastoring full time, I'll tell you, it would be somebody'd ask for a meeting and I felt obligated. An unsolicited request, and I felt obligated. You have to be intentional. And
If your goal is to protect your home balance, then you have to be intentional about those decisions. And it's saying yes to it is great, but saying yes around keeping your home your first. So working it around the timeline that works best for that.
So what are some of the distractions? Some of the distractions in home, and these are going to be somewhat convicting to all of us, is we'll just put it in a category of passive entertainment.
Yes.
Passive entertainment. You're not really doing it. Like reading a book, that's active entertainment. I would call that active.
Yeah, it's good.
Or playing a game, that's active entertainment, where you sit down, play
With
a game.
your
I
members
so
of your
wish
family.
I liked playing games.
Well,
I
you
don't.
might learn if you tried it.
Or, in the backyard, playing games,
Frisbees.
frisbee, or, what's the one? Cornhole. We love that game.
Yep.
I'm terrible at it. I'm sorry. I forgot to turn my phone off. There we go. Anyway, that is, it's important to not have those distractions. TV is
The black hole.
huge distraction.
And so much fun.
And I am really, unfortunately, I love watching, binge watching shows.
But I will say this, because we had a conversation this week, and I'm really proud of you, because part of we called it passive entertainment, but part of your daily habits, and for a lot of people this is normal and it doesn't impact them the same way, but was to download a couple of hours of news, which would put you in a mindset of negativity because anger and wanting to manage the world's issues, knowing, and you're a fixer by nature, and you're in a position by exposing yourself to 2 hours of things you can't fix. Of course you're going to feel angry, right?
And it flows over. I mean, I'll be honest, it flows over to my family. And I didn't like how I was feeling angry all the time. So I made a decision just a few days ago, last week, that I'm going to stop watching news or take a break from it. I'm committed to never watching it. But
It's made a difference.
I know I'm not going to say any newscasts, so don't say what they are. But there are certain newscasts that provoke my anger like crazy.
Yeah.
And
you're on the same team.
Somehow, maybe if you men especially, but women too, I think, actually it doesn't matter the gender. If you have a tendency to look at a newscast and they're talking about the same thing day after day, hour after hour, and you're obsessing about it, you maybe think subconsciously or maybe consciously that you're managing that problem. You have no impact on it. You're probably going to vote the same way either way. But the reality is, you can talk to other people knowledgeable about issues, but you can probably do that if you watch the news once or twice a week. You'll probably be up. You don't want to be uninformed, but you don't need to be angry
and the
like
point is,
Uncle Tim over here.
You it's something you don't have any impact on, but it has great impact on you, potentially, on your personality. And I was going to say that the sword cuts both ways, because I would say for my temperament, my nature would be to want to escape in a show. So like I'm not angry or whatever, but you can waste a lot of time watching a series that instead of choosing to sit around a table or go in the backyard like Gracie and I have done several times this last week, to just talk with a drink, and have interaction with your family, you're choosing to everybody tune out and be on their social media or watching a television show, and that's okay every once in a while. But if that's the culture of our homes, then what we've done is we have eliminated those those pathways to communicate, and we're living separately together.
Yeah. I think that's the other, you mentioned social media. That is such a distraction from relationships. And I think everybody in today's world, or most people in today's world, are really impacted by that,
Yes.
and it's
addicting.
Yeah. We need to really, when we talk about balance in the home, eliminating the distraction, sometimes kind of getting off the passive entertainment, sometimes we're so busy pursuing stuff, getting the next remodel or buying the next car or getting the next toy or whatever it is, that we aren't connecting with our children or our spouse or even our neighbors. And I think that's an important part. I just saw such a beautiful thing in, just watching you and Gracie just talking probably for 2 hours in the backyard. And it was just, you guys had nothing going on but just connecting to each other. That actually happens a lot, but it's really a powerful thing. And so just to kind of wind this up, the third area. So the first area is do the stuff. Second area is to eliminate the distraction. And then we'll just close with this. Focus on the essentials. You have to figure out what the essentials are in your life. Say no so you can say yes. Say no to the distractions so you can say yes to the essentials. Figure out what the essentials are. What are the crucial things in your life? How do you need to approach those? And say no to things that are taking away from that. Focus on those. We need to sort through our priorities. And the only way we can do that is probably to write them down. Sit down, write down what are your greatest priorities. Absolutely.
Work it out.
Listen to your kids. What are your kids' priorities? Maybe they want to spend more time with you than you think. Or maybe they don't. But it could be either way.
On their terms,
on their terms.
With doing what they want to do instead of us making them do something that we want to do.
I remember my first teenager that I've raised. I've raised 7 teenagers, but one teenager, the first one was Carrie. And I remember there was very often that she did not want to talk at an easy time for me, which was like, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock when I get home, but it was more like midnight. And you know what? I needed to make time then. That's when she wanted to talk. I needed to defer to that. And we had some great conversations in the middle of a night. And so did her mother with her. So here's some things we can do is, and this is the list that Kimberly and I made up for us. And you make up your own list of priorities and essentials. Put God first. So first, it's God. Pursue God in your relationship. Second, your personal growth.
Right. Personal development, personal growth, so that you can stay, obviously you're in line spiritually with the Lord, but you're also growing personally, taking responsibility for that so that you have more to give to the people that God's called you to love and steward, which are your children and your spouse.
Yeah, your children or spouse, but also your friends. You have very little to give unless you grow.
Right.
So the third one is what?
Having a heart for your spouse.
And you know how to have a heart for your spouse? Remember why you fell in love. You fell in love for a very specific reason.
Because you're hot.
If it was for that, we got a problem because that can go away.
Babe, you're so
with
hot.
time. Anyway, so what I would say is remember why you fell in love and cultivate that. And put God first, of course. Grow yourself emotionally and spiritually. But listen to what your wife says or your husband says, what is important to them, and really begin to respond to that. The fourth thing is have a heart for your children. Again, listen. Listen to what matters to them. Stuff that doesn't matter to you. Don't moralize everything. Right. Their music is morally neutral.
Well, for the most part.
Unless, of course, it's not. If it's satanic or, something like that or harmful. But for the most part, it's just, you don't like the sound of it.
Our parents hated our music. I mean, it's the way it goes.
My dad wouldn't even let me listen to Christian
I was going to say, even
music.
church music, my parents didn't like the music I listened to as a teenager.
And we probably do the same. We don't so much because we kind of embrace their music, but our kids like what we like for the most part. But, really listen to what they care about, what they love, what matters to them, and don't personalize it.
Yeah.
Don't personalize it every time. Even if it is something that's different than your values.
Yeah.
Love your kids well.
Yeah.
And then, that I think gets things in perspective. God first, second, your personal growth, third, love your spouse well, have a heart for your spouse, and then fourth, have a heart for your children.
The same way.
And I really think that's going to get your priorities in place.
Yeah.
So do the stuff. We got to do it. Avoid the distractions, and then pursue or focus on the essentials.
Yeah.
So really excited about next week, by the way. Next week, we're going to be talking about social personalities. There are different kinds of personalities, different ways of looking at things, whether it's Enneagram or personality, what's the temperaments or, personality profile.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about social personalities and how that factors into our life and our happiness.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. We'll probably spend 3 weeks on it.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We're doing our prep now, and we'll be with you next week on Hope Rescue Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. And by the way, if you would like to support us, you can go to hoperescuepodcast.org, hoperescuepodcast.org, and you will find it says give. And just click on that. Whatever you can give would be of great value. We promise you we use this for the ministry so we can continue to bring our teaching on in-depth expository preaching that we have on our website. We have Philippians, we have Jude, and also we have starting the book of James. And we're going through the New Testament. If you'd like to get those are free. But if you'd like to support us in that endeavor, we would love your support. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.